Day number 13 will signify ghost stories. Now, bear in mind, I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. I'm not one of those guys like, oh my god, I hear shit all over the fucking place. No, I'm not like that at all. If people that I know who believe in this stuff, up and down, left and right, whatever, right? It's for them to assume and feel is real. Who am I to judge? I'm not here to try to grab a bunch of, chemicals and prove that ghosts are fake or anything like that, because at the end of the day, do I really truly fucking know ghosts are real or fake? Who fucking knows, That's really my stance on it. But anyway, today I want to share a couple ghost stories with you, at least here in the local area of Boston. So, with that bared in mind, I'm going to read a few transcripts, or at least a few little miniature stories with that. Now, a couple of these stories, obviously, you could tell are just, they probably are legible, of probably actually being historical, but at the same time, the ghost shit, you kind of like, whatever, roll your eyes about it. People are drunk or something and they saw this shit, who knows. But anyway, Lady in Black, which is the most infamous story based off any ghost story in particular in the said Massachusetts area. Now, the most famous ghost of the harbor is the Lady in Black at Fort Warren, 7 miles out of the sea on George's Island. Legend has it, in 1862, Mrs. Meneline Lanier came to the fort and from South Carolina to rescue her husband, a Confederate soldier, who was being held prisoner there. She snuck and lied her way into the prison and managed to rescue her husband and the others being imprisoned there. Unfortunately for her, they were apprehended. She fired at the nearest guard, but the Arcanek weapon backfired in her hand. A piece of the shrapnel from the explosion lodged itself into her husband's head, and therefore had accidentally killed her own husband in her effort to rescue him. She was then tried and hung in a black robe as a traitor on George's Island in February 2nd, 1862. It was in the black robe that she still is seen to this day in various ways about Fort Warren and George's Island as a whole. So, in better words, people were seeing someone dressed in black wandering about the island, probably looking for shrapnels with a gun to try to pull out of her husband's skull. Who knows? There's more to it, I am assuming, but again, it's just a footnote for that. Now, the last one I'm going to read is going to be about the Day of Darkness. Now, in May 19th, 1780, there we go. It was unexplained darkness as fell over the entire state of Massachusetts. The sun rose as usual, but the hints of a dark cloud arriving over the eastern horizon, pretty much people were smoking weed back then, I guess, by 1 p.m., that afternoon, that hint of a cloud had become a mysterious, mist-like darkness that reduced visibility to a few inches. And in the middle of a middle of the day, but instead of daylight, Massachusetts residents had a profound darkness so terrifying they were convinced that the apocalypse was upon them. Trying to adjust, some residents hung lanterns or lit candles on their porches, only to see those lanterns emit an airy greenish glow instead of their usual light. Nighttime arrived, though no one could tell the difference, as either moon or stars were visible as the residents tossed in their beds. Finally, at 1 a.m., those ill-restfully awake peered out of their windows to see a blood-red moon emerge slowly on the horizon. Stars soon followed, and by the morning the sun shined brightly in the morning sky. What brought this day of darkness? It was an atmospheric phenomenon or something stranger still. To this day, no theory fully explains the strange events of May 19th, 1780. And finally, there's another one here, which I'm going to read, and I'll pretty much end this video. I'm trying to add a little bit of length to this one, I suppose. But that is The Woman in Scarlet. Boston Harbor's Long Island is home to one of the most tragic Boston ghost stories. At the close of the American Revolution, the British still had several ships lodging in the Boston harbor. On board one of these ships were Adam and Mary Burton. The newlyweds, like so many others, were fleeing the chaos of the besieged city and looking forward to spending their lives together across the Atlantic. As their ship attempted to set sail out of the Boston harbor, a cannonball from the Long Island battery hit Mary in the back of the head. Ow! Unbelievable she was not killed instantly, but lingered on for several days in a lot of pain before succumbing her own massive head trauma. As she lay dying, Mary pleaded for her husband not to bury her at sea. She was never fond of the sea and could not bear to be to have her earthly remains consigned to a watery grave. Eventually, Mary died of her injuries, and William was permitted to venture to Long Island to bury his love. Once ashore, he sewed her body into a soft red blanket, and that Mary had brought aboard with her to keep warm on the long journey home, and led her to rest in the sandy dunes. He fashioned a headstone out of a piece of driftwood, and he carved her name into it, and he swore that he would return to Boston and give her a proper marker. He never returned. But Mary, it seems, refuses to be forgotten. To this day, visitors of the island report seeing a woman with a muddy gray skin and wearing a scarlet cloak stumbling over the sandy dunes. Blood is usually seen streaming down her cloak, with a gaping hole in the back of her head, the exact spot where the cannon fire had smashed her skull. So, yeah. Shit like that. I like listening to stories like that, or hearing about stories like that. I do apologize ahead of time for my butchering of the English language as well as pronunciations of said articles, but whatever, right? But hope you enjoyed this video, and if you enjoy these, be sure to watch the other ones that I've put up throughout the said month. So again, take it easy, and see you tomorrow.